So we are going to read two argumentative articles or persuasive articles about this title. Should plants and animals from other places live here? Okay. Now the first persuasive article is for the idea, is supporting this idea. The title is New Arrivals Welcome. Non-native species are good for the economy and they taste good too. So this is what this article begins with. Some of America's most important immigrants are plants and animals. And you know, immigrants are usually people moving from one country to another. But this article is also talking about plants and animals that migrate, which means move from one country to another. Called non-native species, these creatures arrive here from other regions or countries. Also, remember context clues. Now, when you have the word non-native, if you don't know the meaning of it, when you continue, you are going to figure out the answer, which means arrive here from other regions or countries. Okay? Now, non-native species are known as invasive when they harm the environment. So they are called invasive when they harm the environment. And remember the Greek roots or the Latin roots. Our health or the economy. So they are called invasive when they harm the environment, when they harm our health, or when they harm the economy. Invasive species often take over a widespread area, which means a big area, a large area, and overwhelm native wildlife. Now, overwhelm here can mean trouble, and trouble native wildlife. The population of some native species has declined, which means went down, has gone down, right? Because of a few newcomers. But the news is not all bad. We would be a lot worse off without some of them. So, it's very clear that the writer is supporting the idea of getting new species. In Florida, for example, about 2,000 species of familiar plants and animals are non-native. These include oranges, chickens, and sugarcane. In fact, 90% of farm sales can be traced directly to non-native species. Now, non-native species help to control insects and other pests that harm crops. Here the writer is giving evidence that non-native species are useful. The writer wants you to agree with him or with her. Some scientists identify a pest's natural enemy and bring in non-native enemy species such as insects to kill the pests. Killing the pests is a good thing, and an even better result is that pesticide use is reduced. And pesticide, are the chemicals that we use to kill insects. And you know that these chemicals are very harmful for people, for animals, and for the environment. Vidalia beetles were transported here from Australia to eat insects that killed citrus fruit. And citrus fruits are, oranges, and anything that is like it. Dandelion, okay, and such things. Anything that is just like oranges, lemons, dandelions, they are all called citrus fruits. The beetles completed their mission without any side effects. They also help keep citrus farmers in business. Not all new arrivals benefit humans. However, many non-native species are just what the doctor ordered. Now, this means that they fit their purpose perfectly. They were great. Many of the dogs and cats we love so much originated in other parts of the world. Would you want to ban, which means to prevent, Labrador retrievers and Siamese cats? Siamese cats? This is a question. Creatures like these surely make our lives and our nation better. Here, the writer is being clever in trying to persuade you of, getting to his side, to agree to his opinion. First, look, the author defined what non-native species are. Okay, then the author told you that this is not a strange idea to get like non-native species. He's telling you that chickens, oranges are non-native. Okay, and he's playing on your feelings in the end here, because he knows that everybody loves Labrador retrievers and Siamese cats. Fine. And he's telling you here that they are not originated in the US. They are non-native species as well. And he's asking you, would you like it if you don't have these dogs and cats, special dogs and cats in your life? Very good. So you can learn a lesson here. When you are trying to persuade, you have to, play on emotional things. Also, you have to provide strong evidence. Here we have the second article that is talking about the non-native species, and this one is clearly against the idea of getting non-native species to the United States of America. Now, it begins with thousands of foreign plant and animal species threaten our country. Visitors to the Florida Everglades expect to see alligators, not pythons. These huge snakes are native to Southeast Asia, but about 150,000 of the reptiles are crawling through the Everglades. The probable, which means the possible, reason they got there is that pet owners dumped the snakes in the wild. Now, the non-native pythons have become a widespread menace. And here you got to use context clues to know what menace means. It means a threat. So, a widespread menace threatening to reduce the population of endangered native species. So, the writer begins with, evidence of how dangerous these non-native species are. And he or she begins with the example of the pythons, the big snake. Some non-native species may be useful, but others are harmful to the nation. Now, the author is talking about the economical negative effects of such non-native species. It costs the US $137 billion each year to repair the damage these species cause to the environment. The trouble occurs when non-native species become invasive. Invasive, which means causing harm. Invasive species are a nuisance just about everywhere in the nation. For example, the Asian carp. For example, the Asian carp, which was introduced unintentionally to the US. And the word unintentionally means not on purpose, by accident. Fine? Asian carp, which was introduced unintentionally to the US, has been able to thrive in the Mississippi River and now threatens the Great Lake ecosystem. Thrive means to live, to grow. Fine? Because of its large appetite, it eats a lot. The population of native fish has gone down. So, this Asian carp, has lowered the number of native fish in the Mississippi because, such carps are all the time eating the fish. They have a large appetite. Some germs are also invasive species, and they are especially harmful to humans. One, the Avian Influenza virus, came to the US carried by birds. This microbe can cause a serious lung disorder. Disorder here means illness in infected people. Some agricultural experts have introduced non-native species on purpose to improve the environment. However, this can sometimes create unexpected problems. Problems that you didn't see coming. You didn't expect. 100 years ago, Melaleuca trees were brought to Florida from Australia to stabilize swampy areas. Now, millions of the trees blanket the land, which means cover the land, crowding out native plants, which means taking the place of native plants and harming endangered plants and animals. The facts about this alien invasion lead to one conclusion. We must remove invasive species and keep new ones from our shores. The article goes on. Non-native species, benefits and costs. Over the years, about 50,000 non-native species have entered the US. These 4 examples show the positive and negative impacts they can have. And there is a table showing some species, their native lands, when and how they were introduced to the US, what's the positive impact of them, and what's the negative impact of them. Okay, now this is the end of our reading comprehension lesson. I wish you liked it. Please watch it very carefully and then go to your book and read the selection in the book. Thank you very much, boys, for your time. I will see you soon. Goodbye.